And continuing today with our look at various scripts with tonal changes from one to the other. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart. Welcome to today's episode of Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Video Voice. Yeah, look at the two scripts in your show notes today. And that first one there, it's obviously going to be a serious, sad story, isn't it? And kind of comes from the Universal Emotions file with those kinds of, that kind of approach to it, a serious tone, perhaps tinged with a hint of resignation. You're almost saying perhaps everyone had not dare fear the worst, but aren't you with this? You know, we thought it was going to happen and now it has. If you were reading this on a station closer to this event, a local radio station, a regional station, perhaps had this story as a lead in the bulletin, the tone may become slightly more serious, because what you've got to do is you've got to bear in mind that friends and relatives of the family concerned might be hearing the news for the very first time from you reading it. So let's see what we can do with our voice, with those two different emotions with this one story. Here we go with the first one. If it was maybe on a national station or a station well away from the area in which it happened. A body has been found by emergency services searching for a girl who'd fallen into the water near Loch Lomond in West Dunbartonshire. The alarm was raised in Balloch yesterday evening. In Norfolk, a woman in her 30s has died after getting into difficulties in the sea at the village of Waxham. And then if you were reading it for the local radio station or regional radio where one of those incidents occurred, then as I say, you're going to be reading it with much more sense of seriousness and concern and relevance, as I say, relatives, school friends and so on, people down the road. You know how the ripples on a pond effect, people will know these families or will wonder what that police car was doing outside, or they will have heard gossip or seen things on a Facebook post and so on. You're perhaps confirming this information for the very first time to them. A body has been found by emergency services searching for a girl who'd fallen into the water near Loch Lomond in West Dunbartonshire. The alarm was raised in Balloch yesterday evening. And in Norfolk, a woman in her 30s has died after getting into difficulties in the sea at the village of Waxham. So it's deeper, it's slower, you've got a change of tone, a change of pace, and all sorts of things going on there as well, to show the seriousness of the story that you are passing on. Okay, gear change. Let's move on to story 2. A lighter story, perhaps to end the bulletin. It's not fun, it's certainly not funny, but it conjures up pictures in one's mind of metal detectorists, and it kind of raises questions. Isn't that what if I'd found them? Or you can picture the scene and the field and the trees and someone with a little trowel and digging all this stuff up and the joy on their faces. You're trying to evoke that kind of universal emotion in a way that you can't do, as I mentioned earlier on over the last couple of 3 days, with a political story. Yeah, okay, here we go with this one. At the village of Waxham. A hoard of Bronze Age artefacts has been discovered in the Scottish borders. The find is considered to be of national significance. It includes a complete horse harness preserved by the soil and a sword, which have been dated as being from 1000 to 900 BC. Again, it's got a lighter tone, it's faster, it's brighter. It's not funny, you're not reading it with a sense of humour, but you're reading it as though it's a good story. It's nothing but a good story, is it? I can't see anyone that would say that was a bad story. There would certainly be a very, very, very small minority if they were. So what I'm saying is when you look at a script, you've got to work out the appropriate tone in which to read it. And you do that by, whether it's a narration, ebook, 30-second commercial, video, podcast, broadcast, whatever. You do it by finding the emotion or the feeling that's trying to be evoked by the content and the context. It's vital you get the tone of your, in this case, news presentation right, any presentation right. In news, you need to sound authoritative, yet natural and informal. And as we'll see later, you need to have the speed of your reading just right to inject the correct amount of light and shade of intonation in your voice. Talking fast and loud does not mean you sound more urgent or dramatic. Often it's quite the reverse. As in many things, the key is finding the correct balance. Tomorrow, the tonal construct for a presenter as Get a Better Broadcast, Podcast and Video Voice continues. From London, I'm Peter Stewart.